New Year. Welcome. Start again. Good afternoon, everyone, and Happy New Year. Welcome to the first meeting of 2025 for the Sound Transit Board System Expansion Committee. I'm calling the meeting to order. It's January 9th, 2025, and I am the System Expansion Committee Chair. My name is Claudia Balducci, and I want to welcome everyone attending both here in the Ruth Fisher Boardroom and through Zoom. So let's just dive right in, and I'll ask our Board Relations Specialist, Alejandra Monzon, to please call the roll.
Nancy Backus.
Here.
Board Member Backus is present. Angela Burney.
Here.
Board Member Burney is present. Cassie Franklin. Bruce Harrell.
Here.
Board Member Harrell is present. Jim Kastema. Kim Roscoe.
Here.
Vice Chair Roscoe is present. Dave Summers. Dan Strauss.
Present.
Board Member Strauss is present, and Claudia Balducci.
Here.
And Madam Chair, a quorum of the committee is present at this time.
Thank you very much. So as this is our first meeting of the year, and we haven't really kicked off yet, I don't have a whole lot to report right now. I will just say, though, that since we last met, we had a terrible tragedy happen on our transit system here in King County. One of our Metro bus operators, Sean Kim, was killed at work. And we have a lot of follow-up happening to talk about safety in our transit system. We are mourning the loss of our colleague, and there will be a vigil being held for him at Lumen Field this Friday. I believe it starts at tomorrow. I believe it starts at 11 a.m. and it is open to the public. So anybody who wants to come and honor our fallen bus operator is welcome to do so. We will be following up with a number of discussions starting as early as next week on reminding ourselves about the conditions on our transit system, what we have been doing to try to address safety, and what we still need to do. So with that, I'll call on Jaron Sparman, our Interim Chief Executive Officer, to give the CEO report. Welcome.
Thank you, Chair Balducci, members of the committee. And I do have a couple of comments under my part of the agenda today. But I just want to first echo what Chair Balducci said. It was a tragic event that happened. At the event tomorrow, frankly, I will be leading a Sound Transit delegation to participate in memorializing what happened and Operator Kim. So obviously, safety and security of our employees is an absolute priority, not only for King County, but for Sound Transit. And we empathize with the challenge that the transit agencies are having in ensuring and protecting our employees. Nothing is more important than us doing that. So looking forward to joining many of you at the memorial tomorrow. A couple of additional updates I want to mention. Excuse me. So the Downtown Redmond Link Extension project continues to advance, and we are starting operator familiarization with the new alignment this month, January 2025, which is a crucial step in preparing our operators for the opening day, which will happen later this spring. We are now evaluating opening dates, and I hope to be able to make an announcement in the near term what specific date we are planning to start operating revenue service for the Redmond Link Extension project, tying into the existing Line 2. Excuse me. As we also plan to discuss at next week's Rio Committee meeting, we do have a number of service disruptions that we have to do this month. And that is all about tying in the existing Line 2 starter line in with Line 1 so that late this year, we can actually open up the full Line 2 project to interface with Line 1 service operations. So we are going to do the best we can to make sure that our public knows what's coming at us, both this weekend and following weekends, to facilitate that work from happening. And unfortunately, that is work we have to do. We have to unpower the system to be able to tie things back together in the CID area. I do want to talk about also acknowledge that, as I previously shared in November, that the Linwood Link Extension project has received several awards from Engineering News Record Northwest, which is one of the key engineering organizations nationally. Today, I'm happy to share that our East Link starter line also has received an award of merit in the airport transit category of projects. So other good news, recognition for the great work that the Sound Transit Agency and all our key partners are doing in effectively implementing our ST2 and ST3 program. And with that, I'm going to pass this back to you, Chair Balducci. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sparman. Any questions for CEO Sparman online or in the boardroom? Thank you so much for your report. I am very much looking forward to the opening of the Redmond Link extension. I'm looking at Board Member Bernie. I know she is already leading the charge to make sure that we make it into a very successful launch. All right. Next, we have public comment. The System Expansion Committee welcomes public comment as an important part of our public process. Comments are received and considered by the committee in our deliberations. Board members have received written comments submitted before the meeting. I'm going to now ask Alejandro to read the names and summaries of those comments.
From Justin Roll, asking the board to support a 4th or 5th Avenue station option for the Ballard Link extension. From Bill Hurt, sharing concerns that the light rail expansions were not effectively reducing congestion or attracting enough ridership while continuing to overspend on projects. From Brian Chow, addressing the lack of transparency and credibility in Sound Transit's feedback collection process and suggesting for more documented, inclusive, and accountable community engagement. From Betty Lau, expressing concerns on Sound Transit's failure to build trust by withholding feedback, delaying crucial studies, and not adequately involving marginalized communities in decision-making, especially regarding leadership and diversity commitments. And from Mary Kate Ryan, asking the board to advocate for a 90-day comment period for the upcoming Ballard Link Extension DEIS, as well as translated materials and language access resources provided throughout the process.
All right, thank you. And the comments provided in writing will be posted on the Sound Transit website following this meeting so that the public may view them all. All right, let's move to verbal public comment. Briefly reviewing the rules, we provide 2 minutes per commenter. We ask that all comments be germane to the agenda items or items within this committee's purview. We ask that speakers not make introductory statements, derogatory remarks, profanity, or personal attacks not germane to an agenda item. Always my favorite instruction. If you have any profanity or personal attacks germane to agenda item, have at it. Apparently that's the rule. No statements related to a political campaign or statements for or against a candidate or ballot measure. We ask that speakers not engage in any disruptive comments or conduct. And now let's take comments from people who are signed up here in the Ruth Fisher boardroom. I'll ask Alejandro to please call on those who have signed up.
We have 2 commenters signed up here in the Ruth Fisher boardroom, Betty Lau and Brian Chow.
Welcome to you both.
Hello, System Expansion Committee members. I'm Betty Lau, co-founder of Transit Equity for All and board member of the Zhonghua Benevolent Association, the lead organization of the Chinese community of Washington. 3 things. 1, Sound Transit needs to improve its community and stakeholder trust. One way is to list all feedback collected and make it public within a day or so of collecting it. That never happens. Resultant reports then hide behind the phrase, community wants this or that, or this is from the community, this is community-based, without a shred of evidence. In my years of attending Sound Transit meetings, I have yet to see any feedback accepted from us. The vast majority of CID organizations, residents, and businesses regarding 4th Avenue or on the types of information we want. I have to wonder why. 2, in fact, we are now at 2 full years of information embargo on the promised 4th Avenue further studies. All we have to show for it is a 2-year delay with a highly biased so-called independent consultants report, which at $50 million per month times 24 months equals $1.2 billion of delay. A very expensive consultant's report. 3, The CEO Stakeholder Feedback Search Report did not include CID stakeholders nor list that the CEO must have a passion for diversity, equity, racial, social, and economic justice for impacted communities of color. We want the new CEO to commit to personally engaging with and collaborating with marginalized, underserved communities of color. Happy New Year of the Snake, and stay off Fifth.
Hi, I'm Brian Chow, Transit Equity for All and Zhonghua Benevolent Association. Your process for collection of feedback lacks transparency and credibility. Reports often claim ideas are from the community, yet there's no evidence on where this feedback comes from or how it is picked for keeping or dropping. Lack of evidence makes it easy to ignore the voices of the majority and hide behind community wants this, community wants that. That's single narrative exploitation, and it continues. Transparency includes documentation of meeting dates, times, methods, and which community groups participated. Follow-up meetings to share all input explaining why certain input was included and why others were not. Discussion of Q&A followed by collaborative problem solving. Sound Transit has adopted Title VI and language assistance plans. That's what meaningful community engagement looks like instead of the top-down workshop and often and open houses we are subject to. Please stay off Fifth and move forward on Fourth, and Happy New Year, Year of the Snake. Thank you.
Thank you, and Happy New Year to you both as well.
Chair Balducci, does everyone who has signed up in the Ruth Fisher Boardroom? I know we have no virtual signups for public comment today.
All right, with seeing no more public comment, we will close the public comment period. I do want to observe that I do think it would be a very good idea for us to have a compiled place where anybody who wanted to read the, verbatim reports of feedback that we collect. I know we collect it. And sometimes when we publish things like EISs, we actually have an appendix that has all the public comment in it. I think it would be a really good practice to make sure we're putting that sort of information in a place on the website where people could find it. I mean, I think it would be very helpful. It'd be helpful to me. So thank you for that feedback, and we'll see what we can do about making it real. All right, moving on to our business items. We have 3 business items on the agenda today. 1 is for committee final action. 2 is for recommendation. 2 are for recommendation to the board. And then we have 1 briefing or discussion on the draft committee work plan. So relatively light agenda to start the year. The first item is approval of the minutes of our December 12th System Expansion Committee meeting. The minutes were provided in our packet. Is there a motion to approve?
This is Roscoe. I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
I will second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any comments, questions, or changes on the minutes? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. The minutes are approved. Brings us to item 6B, which is a presentation on a project administration agreement with the City of Bellevue. I want to welcome Rick Kapka, our acting Stride BRT program executive, to kick off the presentation. Welcome. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chair Balducci and members of the System Expansion Committee. My name is Rick Kapka. I'm the acting program executive for the Stride BRT program. Joining me this afternoon is Joey Alchek. Joey is our senior project manager for the I-405 corridor for the BRT program. He's working in several important cities for us right now, Bellevue, Renton, and Burien specifically. And I'm going to turn the presentation over to Joey to take you through it.
Thanks, Rick. I apologize, my first time here, so getting used to the microphone, how it works.
Well, welcome. We're really glad to see you.
Good afternoon, Chair Balducci, members of the System Expansion Committee. Nice to meet you all. As Rick mentioned, I'm Joey Alchek. I'm a senior project manager on the Stride BRT program, working on the I-405 BRT alignment. We are here today to get SEC approval for a due pass recommendation. to the board for the CEO to authorize a project administration agreement, a PAA, with the City of Bellevue for the continued design and eventual construction of STRIDE BRT projects within the city. Project development to date has been the preliminary and final design of the BRT project elements within the City of Bellevue. These specific elements at the Bellevue Transit Center are the Bellevue Transit Center improvements and the new Bellevue layover, which will be the layover location for our 4 STRIDE BRT buses, the S1 and S2 lines. The project administration agreement with the city will allow both parties to continue working cooperatively to see the BRT project elements within the City of Bellevue through to completion. Some of the scope involved in the project administration agreement that are activities essential to meet project objectives will be schedule, design, permitting, and construction activities. It is anticipated that the services covered by this agreement will not exceed $300,000 and are estimated to be within the range of $100,000 to $200,000. The agreement will also not need to be executed by the Bellevue City Council. This agreement has been reviewed and approved by Sound Transit and city staff, and following the execution of a project administration agreement with the city, the parties will execute 1 or more task orders, 2 task orders specifically, 1 for the activities in the Bellevue Transit Center and 1 for the activities in the Bellevue layover. That concludes my presentation, and thank you all for listening.
Thank you very much. Any questions of staff? I'm stumbling over titles
That's all right.
today. Vice Chair Roscoe.
Thank you. I'm just interested in the language around the services anticipated to not exceed 300,000, will likely be within 100 to 200,000. But the approval, the CEO ceiling of approval of 10 million is repeatedly mentioned. So is there a reason that this agreement isn't just capped at 400,000?
The reason we indicated that we would be under the CEO's authority is just to clarify that we wouldn't need to go back to the board again on this. We haven't yet established the specific task order values yet with the City of Bellevue. We will be doing that. Joey's done an independent estimate already, and that has us within the $100,000 to $200,000 range. We think that's where it's going to be. So we were just clarifying that we would be under the CEO's authority.
Okay. I'm okay with it. I will support it. I guess it seems, I'm not familiar with this happening in this format where it seems like we could have gotten to the point. I don't, know the timing of this agreement and what's happening with Bellevue outside of this presentation, but just saying, okay, we know that they're going to be 400,000 and we're just going to cap it at that. Because there's a big difference between 400,000 and 10 million. Mm-hmm. So as a board member, it's just a little concerning to say, we think it's going to be 300,000, but we're not coming back to you until it gets above 10 million.
Right.
So it might be a process I'm just not remembering.
Yeah, I have to say, when we went over this in preparation for the meeting, I had to remind myself of first of all, the fact that we do this. Like it's a good reminder that we do contribute to the staff costs of the various jurisdictions we work through in their permitting departments. And what's in it for the agency is that we then get dedicated staff resources so we can stay on our timeline. The issue that you're raising, Vice Chair, about the difference between what the staff is suggesting is the cost and the potential total cost. And let me ask this towards staff. So I think we're kind of mixing two different things here. We approve this here not because of how much money. We approve it here because it's an interlocal agreement. That is the triggering factor that brings it.
That is correct.
If it weren't an interlocal agreement, if it were just a regular straight up contract, they wouldn't come to us unless it was over $10 million. So I think we're mixing those two concepts. So let me ask this question. Let's suppose we did an interlocal agreement. The interlocal agreement said it's for $300,000, and then it turned out we were going to actually spend $500,000. What happens then?
Well, that would be under the CEO's signature authority. So we would have to work through that process. It wouldn't be a matter for the board.
So I think it's I'm happy to, but let me just finish my thought. I think the oversight piece is what we're asking about here. So there's two ways you have oversight over any kind of contract amount. You either hold on to approvals. I'm not going to approve more money for this until you come to me and tell me why you need more than you said in the first place. We have made a very intentional decision to let go of as much of that kind of oversight as possible to keep things moving. The second type is you report to us. You report to us after the fact. We had 15 contracts and 14 of them were in budget, but the 15th went over. Back in one of my former jobs, I had a guy who used to like to do a scattergram. And so we could see, how close they were to the timing, how close they were to, how do you do reporting to the board so that we can see how we're doing after we make these approvals, that you're coming back within what you said, or if it's over, we have the ability to say, well, we need to adjust something here because we're not really meeting what we thought we were going to do. I'm looking
Chair
at
Balducci, if I could jump in, just to give a little clarity on the reference to the 10 million. I don't think that it's being stated here that we are intending that we would go anywhere near 10 million. We're just referencing that we're going to be operating below the $10 million threshold. So I think the expectation is around the $300,000 mark. Anytime an agreement gets amended, such as we have a change order, there's actually a report that gets included to the board members as part of their packet that shows you any contractual changes. So you would be aware of that change in that standard administrative report. And also, also
Go
in our
ahead.
monthly reports, we do capture that go to the board.
Well, I completely understand the agreement with the jurisdictions that's been happening in the city of Fife for Tacoma Dome Link extension for many years. So I'm very, from the city of Fife's perspective, grateful that Sound Transit is open to that, and we do have dedicated employees on the project. I am not familiar with that report, so I will follow up with you. Thank you.
And just to put kind of beat this horse a little bit more, I do think there's something to be said as we go forward, generally speaking, not just on these kinds of interlocal agreements, but generally on contracts of any kind. Potentially as part of oversight, having an occasional presentation on how are we doing with our projections? Are we projecting well? And if we're not, what are we doing about that? And I think that's something that we could work on a future presentation more generally. Yeah, that'd be great. Board Member Burney.
Thank you for this discussion. I've been on your side of the table before, and I would say from a clarity standpoint, I think describing that really this is approval for interlocal, that it happens to fall under the $10 million really is not the important thing. And so I think that gets a little lost in your memo. So not to, once again, to talk about the work that you've done, which, because I appreciate what you've done, but I think that we want to make sure we have clarity around this so that everyone's crystal clear about how we're going about this. That's
Yeah, no worries. Understood, and totally appreciate the feedback. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure.
All right. First discussion?
Mayor,
Yeah.
how much are we being asked to approve today? Is it $400,000, $300,000, $10 million? I'm looking for
We're
clarity.
being asked to approve the interlocal agreement, not a budget item.
Okay.
They are just telling us how much they think they're going to expend under the interlocal agreement and are assuring us that it is well beneath the CEO's approval authority limit.
Fair enough. My comments.
Did I get that right?
Yes, that
Okay.
is correct.
Precisely.
I
Thank
get
you.
paid nothing to do this. I think.
You don't even get an Orca card.
Get an Orca.
My next comments are going to be about the internal Sound Transit process and not about your project. I want the public record to reflect that I'm in support of the STRIDE project on I-405. What I can share is that for a couple months, I've been asking for briefings ahead of votes. We have an interesting, at least in North King, an interesting setup where we have North King meeting tomorrow, where I bet I'm going to be briefed on this item that I'm being asked to vote on today. That sequencing is not working for me. I'm now making it on the dais. I'm making this request on the dais. And so today I will be abstaining on this. In the future, I will be voting no on items that I have not been briefed on. Thank you.
Process improvement opportunity. All right. Any other questions or comments? All right. This item is for recommendation to the board. Is there a motion to forward resolution R20? Oh, do I need to ask you to read this into the record?
It is never necessary, but it's
Would you
always
please read it
possible.
into the record?
Yes.
Thank you.
If I have the language in front of me, thank you. Motion number M 2025-01 is a motion of the Board of the Central Puget Sound Regional Transit Authority authorizing the Chief Executive Officer to execute a project administration agreement with the City of Bellevue for the Stride I-405 Bus Rapid Transit Project.
Okay. Is there a motion to forward the resolution to the board with a due pass recommendation?
This is Roscoe, and I will make the motion to forward motion 2025-01 to the full board with a due pass recommendation.
Thank you. It's been moved.
And I will second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the recommendation, of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. The motion carries.
And I abstain.
Abstain. I'm sorry, I did not call for an extension. Let the record reflect that Board Member Strauss abstained. Thank you. All right, in the opinion of the chair, the motion carries and will go to the board at their next meeting. Thank you so much. Welcome.
Thank you.
It's not normally like this. And we're just feeling like very
In the weeds.
curious today. That's right. So
That's okay. Happy to answer any questions. And thank you to Rick as well for answering questions.
we look forward to working with you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Moving on to item 6C, which is our final action item for today. This is regarding a real property acquisition package for the Operation and Maintenance Facility South. I'd like to welcome our acting real property director, Clint Dameron, to the dais. And you have brought a friend, so I hope you will just kick off the presentation and introduce your team as you go. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Chair Balducci and members of the System Expansion Committee. My name is Clint Dameron, and I am the Acting Director of Real Property. With me today is AJ Curturillo, Real Property Project Manager for the OMF South project. This item requests your due pass recommendation to the full board for acquisition of property rights needed for the construction, operation, and maintenance of the Operations and Maintenance Facility South. On June 27th, 2024, the board selected the South 336th Street alternative and South Federal Way as the project to be built. This alternative includes the site of Christian Faith Church, for which the board approved acquisition on September 28th, 2023, followed by a possession and use agreement effective July 18th, 2024. Shortly thereafter, FTA issued a record of decision on August 7th, 2024. This is the fourth batch of properties for which we are seeking board approval. This action would authorize, this action would authorize acquisition of property rights for 6 properties consisting of 3 partial fee acquisitions and 6 temporary construction easements needed for the project. Staff have been communicating with the property owners and will continue to work with those impacted to ensure they have access to relocation advisory services and other eligible relocation benefits as outlined in the Uniform Act. Thank you, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for the presentation. I'll start with a question. Based on the addresses of the properties to be acquired, it looks like we are acquiring a number of apartment buildings. Is that correct? Can you say a little bit more about who we're impacting and what that looks like?
Yeah, these acquisitions are all basically strip takes along road right-of-ways, so they're very minimal impact to all these properties along the edges of property. No major impacts, no relocations, that kind of thing.
Condominiumized ownership of partial takes. Is that what we got?
Yes, if you're specifically asking why there's 6 properties and about 100 and some
200 almost.
mailing addresses, we are required to notify every tax owner of record on these condominium properties where the HOA owns it as a common element.
That's right.
But all the individual owners have a stake in it as
So
well.
we take a strip of property, it doesn't impact anybody's living space, but they all have a partial ownership interest in it, so we have to notify everyone.
That is correct.
Understood. Okay, that's super helpful. Any other questions? Board Member Strauss.
Thank you, Chair Balducci. While I was not briefed on this, I was ready to vote on it until looking a little deeper on this. I will be abstaining on this despite my absolute support for you, simply based on the fact that I haven't been briefed on this particular purchase. I will share with you by the time it comes to the board. I hope that there is an attachment with a map because while spreadsheets are helpful to understand knowledge, I think it would speak to what Chair Balducci was just mentioning about where are we taking this. So I want you to know that I fully support this and just need to be briefed before I take votes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Other comments or questions? All right, I'll ask Alejandro to read the item into the record.
Resolution number R 2025-01 is a resolution of the Board of the Central Puget Sound Regional Transit Authority authorizing the Chief Executive Officer to acquire certain real property interests, including acquisition by condemnation to the extent authorized by law, and to reimburse eligible relocation and reestablishment expenses incurred by affected owners and tenants as necessary for construction, operation, and maintenance of the Operations and Maintenance Facility South project.
All right, thank you very much. Are we prepared with a motion?
Madam Chair.
Ma'am. Go ahead,
Oh,
Nancy.
sorry.
Thank
Board Member
you.
Backus.
Thank you. I move to forward to the full board with a due pass recommendation, resolution number R 2025-01.
And moved by Board Member Backus. Is there a second?
This is Roscoe. I'll second.
Moved and seconded. It is properly before us. Any comments? I will say that this entire project of the Operation and Maintenance Facility South has been underway for quite a while. It's been a few years now since a group of us took a tour and went and looked at, we had some really difficult decisions to make about where we were going to put this, this facility. And which properties would be impacted was a key part of the decision that the board made. And I appreciate that we've reached the point where we can now start implementing all of the property acquisitions, because people do end up in kind of limbo. I know these are just partial takes, but it's good to, having opened the door to your property will be impacted, it's always good to sort of then conclude the transaction so people can move on with their lives. So I appreciate that we're doing this here today. And I will support sending it to the board with a due pass recommendation. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. An abstention?
Strauss.
Strauss abstains. All right. The resolution carries, and we'll go to the board at their next board meeting. That concludes the action items on our agenda. Thank you very much, gentlemen. And we will move into our one discussion item for today. In your packets, there is a draft System Expansion Committee work plan for 2025. This is a practice that we adopted a few years ago to start the year with a sense of what is going to happen in the committee. And you will note at my request, the draft watermark never ever comes off this plan. It is always subject to discussion and change as we go through the year. It consists of a few items. I'll start with the second page. The second page is just a listing of items that will need to come to the board in the course of our work, approving key contracts and other decisions for our system expansion work plan. And they're broken out by quarter. This is the best estimate that the staff can make of when they believe things will come here, but you can sort of take a look through this two-sided document and get a sense of the magnitude and types of decisions that will be coming here in the year. The first page is more aimed at things that are of interest to the committee or that are at a policy level. So the first topic, the first part just explains what comes to this committee. Then there's a discussion of capital program review with some of the reports we'll get. And my favorite part of the whole work plan, the backside of the first page, topics of special interest to the committee. I will brag, this is an innovation that I created, and it's because I do know that our job here is to process the things that need processing to the board so that we can give direction to staff and keep our program moving. There are always and should always be items on the agenda that are responsive to interests of the board, things we want to learn more about, places where we want to have oversight, whatever topics the board members may wish to delve into. So the topics proposed for 2025 are listed here. It consists of things that we said we would do last year but didn't get to that rolled over, and some new items. And It is always open for input from members. If you have any thoughts right here, right now, I would be happy to entertain discussion. But as I said, that draft watermark means something. You can always propose an item as a member of this committee anytime, and we'll fit it in if we can. So we don't need to adopt this. It's just for discussion, and we use it as a tool for planning the committee meetings. I will ask if there is any discussion. Board Member Roscoe.
I just have comments. I just wanted to show appreciation for it coming before us today and the topics proposed for 2025. Definitely good with those, special interest. And I appreciate, it might have been in our my notes, other places, but I am glad for the ones that rolled over from 2024 and that it was very obvious which ones had been rolled over from 2024.
Good. Glad that it's useful. All right. If there's no more please,
Chair.
Board Member Strauss.
Yeah, I mean, just kind of coming back to my previous comments today about briefings, staying informed of information. Just trying to have a better understanding as the board approaches taking action on these specific projects, whether it's Tacoma, West Seattle, Ballard. When this is occurring in 2025, how does Sound Transit staff intend to keep the board informed on how project level decisions impact other projects in the ST3 program? The reason I ask this is in part because I do have a concern. ST3 passed 8 years and 2 months ago, almost today, and we don't have an FEIS for Ballard. I just think about this from the perspective of cost, because if earlier this year we were presented with the South Lake Union changes is delaying by up to 6 months, which would cost us up to $500 million. This is increasing concern to me that we just across the board. And so my question today is not about any of that specificity. I'm not here to get into that level of detail. Rather, the question is about how is staff going to keep the board informed of these decisions and the trade-offs that are created?
Very good process question, and I will call on CEO Sparman to see if he has a very good answer.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Balducci and Board Member Strauss. It's actually a really good question. It's one we struggle with. So let me specifically answer it in two ways. One, staff takes it very seriously that when we bring a staff recommendation or even a topic for conversation with the board, that our job is to make sure we put that in the broader context. And your point is exactly right, which is as we make project level decisions that potentially, and we all know that we're under very significant cost pressures on all our projects, that when we make those decisions, needs to be done in the context of what does this mean for the overall program. So that's part of my answer. The other part is that we have also recognized and we have initiated an effort that we need to actually go back and, like as you just said, ST3 was passed in 2016, which is now a number of years ago. We live in a very different world today. Mm-hmm. And frankly, we have initiated strategic planning work to understand what does the world we live in today look like from an ST3 implementation perspective. And frankly, that work is getting underway. And what I envision happening during 2025 as we bring project decisions to the board, whether it's on any of the different capital projects, that we do that in the context of how does this fit within our long-range financial plan, which, as you know, is really how we roll up what our financial long-term looks like, both in terms of cost and revenues. So it's a very broad answer, but I fully expect that the board will be engaging at the details around that when we bring project decisions to you for your decisions.
Thank you. Yeah, I want to make these decisions. I want to make sure that we keep these projects moving, and I also want to have that larger ST3 context. Thank you, CEO. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any other comments? Board Member Harrell.
Yeah, thank you. I just want to make sure, pursuant to Board Member Strauss's inquiries, for me, it's just really a question of timing, that to the extent we can have, or all of us can have, sort of advance updates on conversations and discussions between the staff and potentially impacted property owners in advance of the actions. And so I think that's what we're saying, for example, right? I mean, these are business owners and people in Seattle that are significantly impacted. And I may have more resources, some to get some information ahead of time, but and I think staff's doing a remarkable job, by the way, but I just think it's a question of timing, is how early can we sort of be in on the discussions and the updates?
I think that's a really good question. The question of how far in advance of the meetings we can get detailed information is one that does come up from time to time because, and especially some of the decisions are more fraught than others. There are some things like, I'll just speak for myself. I don't need a ton of detail about every contract that's coming before us. There's a lot of sameness in some of these contracts. Property acquisitions are fraught. Big decisions around alignments or milestones where we're making decisions about where service will and will not go. And for those, it's really helpful to get briefings and information just as early as staff can make it happen. And I think that's what we're hearing from the board members here today. So Board Member Harrell posed a question, and CEO Sparman, I'd like to give you the space to answer it. But if you could just sort of be thinking about how do we push the briefings and information up as early as possible, so that board members can be prepared.
So yes, Chair Balducci. So yes, Board Member Harrell, let me respond directly. I totally understand and hear your comment, which is the sooner the board members and the affected jurisdictions where our projects will be implemented can sit down and understand what the implications are, the better off we are. I completely agree with that. And frankly, I really think there's two main avenues. At the project level, we try very hard, and we will continue to do so. And we are always open for feedback about how well it's working to ensure that we appropriately coordinate between the project team and the affected jurisdictions. For example, with Seattle, Ballard, and I can pick out the projects, Tacoma, etc. Our project teams are engaged with agency staff, with the jurisdictional staff, and that is a key vehicle for coordinating, including sharing property impact information as early as possible. So that's one main avenue. And again, I just want to emphasize, we are always open for feedback if that's working well or if there's room for improvement. Candidly, there usually is, and we're very open to hear that. The second part is that the sub-area committees is really the primary vehicle we, from the staff side, are trying to use to make sure that the board is comfortable and knows what's coming at you before the full board hits you at the full board meeting. So I really want to encourage board members to really participate in that process and give us feedback about the kind of information you want to see us bring forward as part of the sub-area meeting process. Those, in my mind, are the two primary vehicles where we can achieve exactly what you asked about, Board Member Harrell, Mayor Harrell.
Further discussion? Here, Board Member Burney.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate this discussion. So thank you for starting this conversation. I'm kind of two minds here. I see a work plan on a lot of committees I'm in, and it shows the work that's going to be coming forward, in a methodical year-over-year fashion. I think in thinking about where we are, to Board Member Strauss's point and to Mayor Harrell's point, Board Member Harrell's point, sometimes these things come to us and they feel a little piecemeal. It doesn't show us the overall big picture of what's happening. And so perhaps in thinking about moving forward, having CEO Sparman or your staff kind of share with us, how does this fit in with the bigger picture of where we're going? And maybe that context could be helpful. Or what will we be seeing this year in this committee in particular on our system expanding? What should we be anticipating is coming for us on a more yearly level? So for me, I think that would help me feel like I'm putting these small pieces together with a bigger piece of where all these projects are going. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to look at Deputy CEO Mestis and say, in times past, not that far past, but a little bit past, we have had discussions about kind of reforming the staff reports. I find them informative, but it took me a while to kind of get the hang of them. They're in a very sort of specific technical format. And in addition to being not super intuitive in some ways, they can get rather repetitive. And so I wonder if there's a way to both streamline for the staff's purposes and provide a little bit more of that context that I think you're hearing the desire for. So I just want to put that out there as you're thinking about your processes. Let me be clear, I am not asking for any immediate action here, but if you look at this and think, hey, there might be a way that we could more effectively communicate with the board so that we receive what you want us to receive and we are ready to have discussions we feel oriented in space and time. The piecemeal comment is very well taken. They are piecemeal. We're taking step by step by step by step. And the idea of knowing like, where have we been on this road and where are we going when I take the next step is a really, really important thing. Yeah. Please go ahead, Board Member.
Yeah, if I might add to that, from a City of Redmond standpoint, we went through this as well. We had particular memo formats that we had, and as we gain new members and as you've gained new board members like myself, I think does this form fit what you're hearing the feedback from us? And the biggest thing for me would be that the staff feels like they're able to convey the information that helps us make the best decision. And so if we're missing a little bit here, maybe that's part of this space of thinking how to better articulate what this is, where it's going, and how it fits into the broader picture.
I am going to take all this discussion and feedback and work with the board administration staff to try to frame up an addition to the topics of special interest to the committee. That's something around this process. We're having a process discussion here and it has permeated the whole meeting. I want to make sure that we capture that and intentionally take it up so that by the time we reach the end of this year, we all feel very good about the process. Hopefully before that, but that will be part of our work. All right. Thank you, Katie and Alejandro. Jerome, go ahead.
Chair Balducci, just a very quick comment. First, a note of appreciation for this conversation. This is actually really helpful. This is exactly the feedback we need to get from the board to make sure that we provide information in the appropriate fashion to you, to allow you, as somebody said, to make the right decisions. We will take this under advisement as well. And I'm a big fan of always painting the big picture before we give the details. And clearly, we need to work on that a little bit more. So we've heard your message loud and clear. And again, thank you for the feedback.
Any further discussion? All right. Well, thank you very much for engaging with the work plan. We will bring it back next month with that addition. That comes to the end of our agenda. There is no executive session today. Does anyone have any other business to come before the committee? Seeing none, our next System Expansion Committee meeting is scheduled for Thursday, February 13th from 1:30 p.m. to 4:00 p.m. Meeting will take place in the Ruth Fisher Boardroom as well as virtually via Zoom, with the link being provided on the Sound Transit website and the meeting agenda. And with that, we are adjourned.